All right, Greg, right out of the gate with 27 signees in 2019. You got a couple good ones right out of the gate. So I'll give you the first four. Wan'Dale Robinson, all-purpose back. Nick Henrich, linebacker. Noah Poligates, corner. And Bryce Benhart, offensive tackle.
Well, we all know Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be playing in the NFL this season. He was, what, a second-round draft pick, I think it was?
Second round.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, that was one that Nebraska was – they even were making him the poster boy for NIL and everything. But Nebraska was forced to use him at running back when he didn't want to take the pounding at running back like he was, and ended up transferring to Kentucky. So, yeah, one of the bell cows of Scott Frost's ever recruiting gets and ends up leaving. So, great kid, great player, obviously very electric, and he's going to be a lot of fun to watch on Sundays. And, Nick Henrich is he's a starting inside linebacker and a heck of a football player, Omaha Burke product. And, he's been playing pretty well and has a pretty bright future carved out for him as well. So very valuable member of the team. And Bryce Benhart was another guy. He was Wan'Dale and Bryce Benhart were both U.S. Army All-Americans that year. So that was the first time I met either one of them in person, was down in San Antonio for that week. And, Bryce is a big monster of a 6'9", big old bear from Minnesota. And maybe has had a little bit of a dud of a start to his career, but he's still a talented guy. And we're kind of waiting for him to put everything together. And hopefully this is the year for that. And then Noel Poligates was the trio, was the third guy that was in that U.S. Army All-American game that year. And, he had some struggles as kind of getting used to the culture at Nebraska and really had struggles of being away from home, and really kind of hurt him a lot his freshman year here and redshirted. And but he's snapped back. He's never quit. I mean, he had thought times that he didn't want to play football anymore, but he stuck with it, and he's been getting a lot better and had a pretty good spring and has put himself in the mix there at safety this season. So we'll see more here when fall camp opens up.
Yeah, Poligate's not with too much time on the field yet. And to look at Wan'Dale Robinson's numbers, my goodness. 104 catches last year.
Yeah, I
Good
mean,
Lord.
If you saw that, you watched that bowl game. I mean, he won. Yep. He won Kentucky that bowl game. He just went crazy in that second half.
Yeah. All right. Our next batch from the 2019 class, we're having Greg run through the classes, kind of give us some context on who worked out, who didn't, and what happened. Our next batch is strong side defensive end Ty Robinson. You got the athlete that became quarterback, maybe wide out somewhere else, Luke McCaffrey. You got defensive tackle Hakeem Green, and you got another athlete in Darian Chase. Yeah,
well, I mean, I forgot Ty Robinson would be the fourth U.S. Army All-American in that class right there, which is also your starting defensive tackle as well. And he started all last year too, and is one of the leaders this year. He's one of the big-time leaders on that defensive line and on the black shirt squad, and he's a hell of a football player, and he's even got a pet camel back home in Arizona, if you didn't know that. Yeah, he's been his career has been pretty much where we thought it would be, as a very talented 4-star prospect coming out of high school. Oh,
Then
and
you got Luke McCaffrey in this bunch.
yeah, unfortunately, we know his story where he decided to go elsewhere, and
He's still in Colorado,
he bounced back.
Northern Colorado.
I think so. Yeah, so yeah, you haven't heard much from him anymore. And then Keem Green was another heck of a good-looking defensive tackle, and he played a little bit as a freshman. You know, didn't play enough to burn a red shirt, but then he ended up transferring away as well. So yeah, strikeouts on a couple of those. And what was the last one there?
I'm trying to think who I was thinking of. Yes, Myrna Matter is correct with Luke McCaffrey going to Rice. Did he go somewhere in between? Then he went to Rice?
He went to Louisville first.
Yes.
And lasted about a week before he got laughed out of the place in the weight room one day. And then went to Northern Colorado. Then I think, yeah, she's probably right at Rice then. So,
or maybe I'm thinking of his brother, Dylan McCaffrey, left Michigan and went to Northern Colorado. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, yes.
Well, no, Luke did go there. So.
Oh, he did go to Northern Colorado? Well, Dylan McCaffrey went somewhere as well. Anyway, you also have Darian Chase, if you got anything on him.
I mean, he was a good looking receiver there, but you know, never really made it onto the field, and you know, he became a non-factor and no longer around either.
Yeah, Darian Chase. Yeah.
Yeah, Moonbot, I was telling him that too.
Darian Chase this past season played at Portland State, caught 54 passes, 4 touchdowns.
There you go.
That's where he landed.
Mazel tov.
All right. Our next batch coming in, we got Demarion Houston, the wide receiver, Jamie Nance, athlete, Ramir Johnson, running back, Chris Hickman, tight end.
Well, first two no longer around. Ramir Johnson obviously was the starting running back until getting hurt, but you know he's back and ready to go as well. You know, and he's right there in the mix to be the number one guy again. But you know, it's going to be a competition every single day. Chris Hickman was you know, he was Nick Henrich's teammate at Omaha Burke, and you know, he's one of the Nebraska tight ends that was actually available to play when other guys weren't a lot. And you know, he had a few big plays last year. He had a couple of nice catches, and you know, and I think, you know, he's been steadily getting better year by year. So he's a valuable guy to have on the roster, obviously.
Yeah, Chris Hickman's caught 5 passes in a career, 1 against Maryland, 1 against Rutgers, 3 last season against Buffalo. Then we move it on to outside linebacker Jackson Hanna. You got Ronald Tompkins, the all-purpose back. You got Dedrick Mills, of course, at running back, and Miles Farmer at safety.
Yeah. Well, I can go reverse order here. Miles Farmer, probably going to be one of your starting safeties. You know, he played a lot last year as well. Dedrick Mills has graduated, but, you know, he was the starting running back and played very well while he was here. Who was the second one on your list?
Ronald Tompkins.
Ronald Tompkins. Yeah, jury's still out there. And then Jackson Hanna never got any playing time. The kid out of Nashville, and he finally transferred out as well. So,
okay, I'm going to say out of this next batch, nobody rings a well. I take that back. 2 guys, one's a big standout, and the other has significant playing time. So we got safety Quentin Newsom, strong side defensive end Mosai Newsom, weak side defensive end
No relation.
Jameen Graham. Yes, no relation, no E at the end. And then you got Garrett Nelson at D end.
Well, yeah, Garrett Nelson's the leader of the defense.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, he's a special one there. And
so not to cut you off, Greg, but this shows you we're looking at the 3, 6, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20th ranked player in a class of 27. And he turns out to be arguably the best, probably the second best to Wan'Dale Robinson.
Well, he's also played at Scotts Bluff. So, I mean, nobody ever saw him in person that was an actual analyst besides myself and my coworker. But then you got Quentin Newsom in there too, who's another starter too.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
You still got a lot of guys that came out of this class that are still valuable members of this team right now, and are going to play a lot of snaps this year.
Next up, of course, the further we go down the list, typically the less known these guys are, of course. Javin Wright, corner. Garrett Snodgrass, athlete. Michael Lynn, offensive tackle. Brant Banks, tackle.
Yeah, a lot of them are backup players, but they're all. I mean, besides Michael Lynn, he really hasn't shown that he's got himself into the rotation. A kid that came out of Denver and really just hasn't got much of a chance while he's been here. But Brant Banks, he's a little bit higher on the depth chart there on the offensive line, and he has a chance to make some noise this year. And you got Garrett Snodgrass, who he's trying to win that starting nickel spot there that JoJo Duman had been playing, and Garrett's played some meaningful snaps last year, and kid out of York, Nebraska, and got a younger brother right now that's a senior coming up, and so yeah, I mean, these guys are all guys that have been contributing. So yeah, it's kind of funny when you're finding them down at the bottom of your list there, but yeah.
The final three in the 2019 class would be Matthew Anderson, the offensive tackle, Ethan Piper, D tackle, and Jimmy Fritzke, tackle.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Piper. Ethan Piper's a guy that plays quite a bit,
Yeah. I know that name.
We knew, and we knew he was going to be a valuable guy when he was coming in. We didn't know if it was going to be on the offensive side or the defensive side, but he's played a lot of snaps on that offensive line, and definitely he's a very valuable backup to have. So, out of those guys, he's the only one that's really had much of a chance.
Okay, there it is, folks. Greg's review on the 2019 class, ranked number 18 in the country at the time.
Which is funny that those guys would still have extra eligibility.
Yeah, there's still a year left for those guys with COVID.
2
2 years?
Yeah.